Fox 2548 is celebrating Black History Month this February and honoring the achievements of Black Americans in our area and across the country. Tonight, Aaron O'Brien is looking into one influential African American from the Coulee region and a local group's fight to keep his memory alive.
Drivers whizzing past this stretch of Highway 16 between Onalaska and West Salem might not realize they're actually driving on what locals call Nathan Hill. It's named after Nathan Smith, a Black man who escaped slavery and fled from Tennessee to West Salem with his wife, Sarah, in 1864.
We still remember Nathan Smith. We have not forgotten him.
West Salem Historical Society President Errol Kinchy says Smith was one of very few Black people in the area, but also one of the most influential.
He and his wife were actually, when they were on the farm, actually took 4 children that were deaf and taught them how to speak.
Smith died at the age of 96 and was buried in West Salem, but his memory lived on into the 20th century with the help of the local gardening club. 40 years ago, the group put up a sign on the hill marking where Nathan and Sarah lived.
It was a lot of hard work, and yet it certainly brought our little community together.
Joan Dolbier was part of that club. She says they built it for a statewide contest for gardening clubs.
That's why we decided to make the marker and write the history and do that. And we ended up getting second place in the state.
The sign stayed on the side of the hill for nearly 4 decades. But when construction began in 2014, that would expand the highway from 2 lanes to 4, the sign had to go.
The state actually had asked to remove it and actually paid us to remove it.
Historical Society member Terry Pierce volunteered to keep the sign at his farm on top of the hill, and it's sat there since then. When construction ended, members of the Historical Society hoped to put it back, but they say the Department of Transportation wouldn't let them.
Because they said that there was no original permit. They cannot find any record of the permit for the sign.
Members of the Historical Society have already chosen a spot where they want the sign to go next, right here, even clearing out the area. They say this will only be about 150 feet from where the sign originally stood. There's a permit number on one of its legs. Though it's fading away, it's still legible. But the Wisconsin DOT says it can't find the paperwork from the 70s, and the group will need to go through the process again, saying in a statement, "We look forward to continuing to work with the Historical Society in the coming months to meet the necessary steps within state statutes and administration codes." Despite the obstacles getting the sign back up, the Historical Society says it won't stop working until the sign is back where it belongs.
The community loved him and had a, the whole community was so involved with him, and that's kind of what our garden club did too. And then having our next generation as interested, I think, is important.
I can still envision Nathan Smith sitting on that porch, strumming on that banjo, saying, "Hi, neighbor, how you doing?" and being very friendly, and people stopping and talking to him. And that's such a wonderful idea of a Black man and the influence that this gentleman had in our area. It's fantastic.
In West Salem, Aaron O'Brien at Fox 25 48 News at 9.